Hi, I'm Michael Abels, and I have been asked to tell people about how I handled my VA compensation claim. I've been asked several times, so I decided I should just do a video and then I can point people to it rather than trying to remember everything every time, and because I'm not good at that. So hopefully I'll remember everything this time. And I'll tell you that my experience has been, I think, kind of middle of the road on the forums, and there's lots of them out there. A lot of veterans have had a much easier time than me, and a lot of them had a much harder time than me. So my perspective is that of someone who just kind of just went right down the middle, apparently. So when I first left the Army in 1998, I had been injured, and I got my separation pay of $10,000, and I was rated as 20% disabled, which at the time I think was around $180 or so a month. And so you're probably aware, but I'll mention that $10,000 you pay it back out of your disability. So that $180 a month or whatever it was just went to pay that back for a long time. And then I had registered my checking account with them, and then just out of the blue I started getting the money in my account, some years later, once it was all paid off. And I just left it for a long time. And during that time, my dad was working on his disability claim from Vietnam. I'm a Bosnia vet, and my dad was Vietnam, and he spent years on his, and eventually got it resolved, but it took a very, very long time. So I was not at all interested in rocking the boat or trying to do anything. But a couple of years ago, I started having some problems that made me change my mind. So at first I just sought treatment through the VA system, and got it, and so I get a lot of medication every month. I almost went through the list, but it's medication. Okay. And then back in April of 2012, things were not going great, and considering what I do for a living, I need my shoulder. So I decided that I needed to prepare for the future and file a claim. So I did. And here's how. First, there is the VA has a web portal called eBenefits. Now you can register for a basic account. In fact, you have to go on the website and register for a basic eBenefits account. And there will be some security stuff and things that you do, and you can register and from home in one sitting for a basic account. Now, once you have the basic account, you have to find your nearest VA regional office, which for me was a 200-mile round trip. Call them ahead of time, make sure that they're going to have availability when you plan on going in, and take with you your DD-214, your driver's license, and if you don't have a driver's license, take some official identification with you. When you call them, just ask, just be very clear about everything. And when you go, they will authenticate you in person for the higher level of account for eBenefits. That you will not get your access that day, however. You'll be authenticated that day, and then they will send you your password through the mail That's a one-time use password that you're required to change, and then you have to kind of re-authenticate once you use that password to make sure it really, really is you, and then you have access. When you're first signing up, I should have mentioned this, when you're first signing up and it asks you the questions, for authentication purposes, what was your first job and where was your mom born, that sort of stuff. Make sure that whichever ones you choose to answer, that you know them well, that there's no doubt in your mind. If it's, I don't remember all the questions, but if you get one of those favorite sports teams and you're a fair weather fan, don't answer that one, because if you ever forget your password, or you fat finger it 3 times in a row, and it's going to make you re-authenticate yourself using those, and short of that, you're going to have to make that trip again. So be careful with all of this. Just ease your way into it, and don't rush anything, because trust me, they're not going to rush anything. So you have your account. You can log in, and you can actually file right there for a compensation review, asking for a higher rating. So here's the form. That's what you're looking for. You can fill that out online and do it yourself. Now, a lot of people swear by VSOs, and I think that is probably a good idea for most people. The veteran service officers are, for the most part, awesome. And there are organizations that will help with this sort of stuff. Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, that sort of thing. There's a boatload of them, and all of them can help you with this. So if you are not comfortable with first off, if you're not comfortable with technology, don't try it. If you're not comfortable with your written language skills, don't try it. And if you're not comfortable, just taking this burden yourself and realizing that it is going to be a burden for a nice long time, don't do it. Take it to somebody to help you. There are a lot of people that help you, and they're very good. My dad wound up using Texas Veterans, and they were awesome. They kept him up to date and helped him through the entire 5-year process. I did not do that. I decided, even though everyone told me don't do it on your own, I decided I just wanted to do it on my own. I guess it's just the kind of person I am. So I did. I filled out, here it is again, this is the form. I filled that out, and in doing so, I referenced my military medical records that they obviously have access to, and appointments that I had had with civilian doctors, things that have been done in my workplace to try to facilitate my problem, and the doctors that ordered those things, and the people responsible for setting up an ergonomic workstation. I referenced everything, put it all in there. I spent a lot of time with doing a great deal of detail on this to make sure that I was sending them everything that they would need to be able to pull this information from all of these sources. So if you don't want to do that all yourself, get a service organization to help you with it. That's what they're there for. But I didn't do that. So I put it all together, sent it off, and that was April 12th of 2012. A few weeks later, the e-benefits site showed that my claim should be finished up by October of 2014, which, considering my dad's experience, was pretty fast. So I wasn't complaining about 2.5 years. But you do need to realize that 2.5 years, that was twice as fast as that's how it worked out for my dad. So when you start this, you just expect a very long wait. I mean, if you're the type that is going to be checking e-benefits 3 times a day, every day from the first day, you need to get a service organization to help you. And I'm not joking about this. There are people out there that have stress-related issues because of the e-benefits website, and it's because of their inability to step away from it, because they just know every time they check that there's going to be something new, and there's not. There's not. Just never, ever expect there to be something new, ever, 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 ever on the site, and then you can be pleasantly surprised years later when it changes. Be ready for that. Now, 6 months later, in October of 2012, around 6 months, I got a letter in the mail from the VA saying that my claim was still in the initial stage, and they were sorry for the delay and that they would keep me updated. So that was nice. So that was October of 2012. Now, again, if you're the type that's prone to jump at every little thing, when you get that letter, you're going to be thinking, don't think that means anything. They're just letting you know they're backlogged. And it's going to be a long time, a very long time. Don't count on this at all for anything ever. I hope I'm stressing that enough. So then in April of 2013, so around the 1 year mark, I had my first movement on the e-benefits site, and I went from claim filed into the discovery phase. So there's a lot of different phases. In fact, I'm going to kind of put them down here. So these going past here, these are the different phases that you would go through. And I knew not to get too excited, but it's human nature. I was kind of thinking, well, maybe it's not going to be so bad. And at the same time, they changed from October of 2014 as my expected completion date. They moved it back to April of 2014. So that's got to be good news. Okay. Then in late April, and I'm recording this, by the way, on May 9th, 2013. So late April was not very long ago. I actually moved to the notification phase, meaning that they have gone through everything and they're ready to notify me of their decision. Awesome. It sat there for 3 days, and then it went backward to under review. Now, from reading the forums, I knew a trick, and I used it, and it worked. I went to my AB8 letter, so you can go to show, my VA letters. You can go there and you can look at that. And I saw that on the letter, the official letter, it actually showed that I had a 40% rating. Let's see. It looks like that. And so the letter showed a 40% rating. Nothing else looked to have changed, but what I learned from the forums is the letters get updated often before you get told anything. So I was ecstatic about that. And what I've discovered since is the reason that it went back to the discovery phase is not under review, is that one of the two conditions that I have moved, and in aggregate I moved from 20% to 40%. The other condition needed more review. And so what they've done now is they have sent out back pay between 20% and 40%. The difference of that, and the back pay starts on May 1st of 2012, because I filed on April 12th, and they just do whole months. So from May 1st, 2012 until now, the difference between 20% and 40% is what they're sending me in back pay. Now, that is considered a partial payment for back pay because they don't know what I'm going to wind up at after the final part of this is reviewed and moves back through the phases and gets to complete. So I still don't know. I'm recording this sort of in the middle of the process. Now, knowing that you can claim your dependents if you are 30% or higher, back in February of this year, I started a second claim, and this was for dependents for my wife and my son. And it sat in the collecting phase, the initial phase, for all of that time until yesterday. And yesterday I got a call from the VA, and over the course of a 5-minute conversation, it went from the very beginning phase to the very end, or right next to the very end. It's in preparation for notification now. And what that means is that the difference in disability pay between a single soldier and a soldier with a family will be back paid for that time going back to May of 2012. And then the additional part will be added to the monthly stipend. And I'm told that should actually happen on June 1st since we're early in May. So that's where we are so far. I think that the key is patience, and don't get too wrapped up. I'm going to say it again. Don't get too wrapped up on the eBenefits website, because especially when you get near the end, things will go back and forth. And if you're right at that notification and you just know the next day is going to say complete, and you log in and it's gone back 5 steps, it's disheartening, and it's not something you want to see. But what I've learned is that if you're really going to watch this thing every day, don't do it. But if you really do it, if you see it moving at all in either direction, that is a benefit to you, because moving either way means that someone is working on it. Don't count on back pay. Don't count on the monthly stipend going up. Don't count on anything until it's actually in your bank account. Then you can count on it. But that's the level of patience that you're going to have to show through this thing. And seriously, if you can find some way to get in, have a coma for a year, maybe that would make things speed up a little bit. Medically induced, whatever. Just go see if your doctor will hook you up. And I'm sort of joking. Good luck. I'll leave some contact information embedded in this, and if there's anything that I can do to help, I'm happy to. But really, your service organizations, I think, are probably the way to go, and just let them deal with all this stuff. It can be very, very stressful, and my strong advice is file and forget. Good luck.